Welcome back to All Things EVM. My name is Aaron, and on this channel we talk about all things Ethereum compatible. Today, I'm very excited to introduce a special guest for an AMA today, 0xMughal. And here, let's just bring him on into the channel. Let's not wait any longer. Waj, how are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you, Aaron, for having me. It's always a pleasure to speak to fellow content creators. And it's always nice to kind of finally put the person behind the picture as well.
Absolutely. I think I was most familiar with your YouTube content at first, but then we definitely connected on crypto Twitter, or X now. And I love your content, man. I know we kind of align in this space with a lot of yield farming, some airdrop farming, but we're just DeFi guys. We love spending time in the space, and I'd love to know just a quick, like 1-2 minute overview of how you got into the space, and just give to my audience a little background on you.
Yeah, so I think I got into crypto whilst I was in medical school. I think I just developed an interest in personal finance and investing and just kind of stumbled upon crypto that way. I guess my first experiences were more on the speculation side of things, just trying to play around, make some money here and there, especially being a broke medical student. Like even making 1 ETH was quite a lot back then. And I think basically what happened was I actually used to make content about being a medical school. I used to make vlogs. I used to do like day in the lives and things like that, how to get good grades. And then eventually it just came a point where a lot of my friends were asking me, oh, how do I do this in crypto? How do I do that in crypto? So I just decided, you know what? Why don't I make you guys a video? So I started off like making them a video like, this is how you stake your ETH, or this is how you do this. And then it just kind of stumbled upon like the content creation side from there. And then my interest in crypto developed from that. And since then, it's been a great few years actually since I started.
That's excellent. So I love your content because you're so good at telling people, you know, on a basic level, how to get started in this stuff. And I'm sure it comes from making your videos for your colleagues in medical school. So, so you practice medicine. Do you still do that, or are you full-time crypto now?
I'm full-time crypto, but I still practice. So I was practicing until about August last year. Full time. I used to work in a busy emergency department in the city that I live in, and that was pretty hectic. And kind of managing that alongside crypto was pretty insane. Thankfully, I got some wonderful opportunities over the last 1 year. Being a content creator and also working in this space now. And so I do work full-time in crypto, doing quite a few different things now. I do like to pick up a shift in the emergency department every now and then. I think it's just good to just keep my skills going. I don't want to get rusty. So I probably work like once a week, once every 2 weeks, something like that.
That's awesome.
Which is much more flexible. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine trying to do this along with a job that's that demanding. You know, I know, I had a friend growing up that his mom worked in emergency, and he barely saw her. So it's pretty impressive that you were able to juggle both. Do you have family or anything like that you're supporting? Are you a single guy, or what's the status there?
No, it's just me and my missus, so it's not so bad at the moment. I'm in my mid-20s, so I guess maybe in a few years' time that might change. But yeah, I think for now, like that's the situation. So I need to make an income. I do need. To be honest, I do like being a doctor. I love the idea of helping people. I find a lot of satisfaction from it. But I enjoy crypto so much as well. So it's really hard to find a balance to do like two things that you really enjoy and also succeed in them. I think you really have to go hard in one. So that's kind of what I thought. I had a natural career break. I thought, like, I don't have too many dependencies at the moment. I can take a little bit more risk. Why don't I try this crypto thing out? If it doesn't work out, I can always go back to medicine anytime. But, you know, crypto might not be the same in like 3, 4, 5 years' time. The opportunities that we have now might not exist. Those diminishing returns, you know, may come. And so I thought, if there's ever a time to really go all in, it's probably now.
100%. I completely agree with you. I think we're seeing, you know, obviously Bitcoin's already hit all-time highs in the last week, and I'm blown away, to be honest with you. I didn't think we'd see that until after the halving. And with ETH up to, you know, $4,000, I haven't even checked it this morning. I've been so busy. I know it's a little bit earlier here than it is where you're at, so I haven't even checked. But did see my portfolio was up over the evening, so I was happy to see. I'm sure that means ETH is up because ETH is a huge part of my portfolio, and I believe it's probably the same in yours. But God bless you, man, for being a physician and wanting to stay in that practice. Thank you so much for serving in that place. I too work. I do work outside of crypto. I'm not completely full time, but I don't know if I ever will be. I have 4 kids and a missus myself, and I love my job. I actually work at a church, leading a team of people. So I oversee the worship team and the production as well as the advertising side of things. So have 5 or 6 people underneath me, and I just love what I do over there, encouraging the team and helping them complete vision over there, but also mentoring some people and getting a chance to just encourage and love on people. I mean, it's just what I love to do. So got into crypto because I needed to make more income outside of my typical, a church's income can be a decent income, but I just wanted to supplement it because I was a freelancer previous as a video production professional and still do that a little bit, but I'm transitioning out of that. So I have 2 jobs now instead of 3. But anyway, let's get into the conversation more about crypto. Thank you so much for joining me again. I think I would love to start with what's hot on your list right now as far as yield farming, airdrop farming. What is it that you're most excited about, and what are you looking into at the moment?
I think as the bull runs kind of come to fruition, there's been some pretty insane opportunities. You're noticing that yields across the board are in double digits. Even if you go to somewhere like Aave, you can lend your stables for 20+%, which is pretty insane, right? The cost of borrowing nowadays, just because of how much leverage people want, is really, really high. So I think if you want to just earn some passive income on your stables, that might be something that some of you guys are interested in. Personally, at the moment, I'm completely risk on, and so I'm not even interested in touching anything stable related, and I have been like that for the last few months. I think it's more interesting to me looking at the opportunities that you can do with the ETH instead, because we all have ETH, and there's so many opportunities, whether it's staking, liquid restaking, eigenlayer, and all these kind of things. So that's probably what's on my radar a lot more at the moment. And then in terms of like airdrop farming, I have got a long list of like 100 different protocols and chains that like are tokenless. So whenever I get some free time, I play around with as much as I possibly can. And that's generally been my motto. The more I try out, the more I learn, the more I experience, and generally you get rewarded for that as well.
Absolutely. You're known for your yield farms. Is it by the month or the week that you're doing that currently?
Farms of the month.
That's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I thought. And so I'm actually completely risk on as well. Although I do borrow stables against my ETH to go farm those, and occasionally I'll be in stables. Although sometimes I'll even short the dollar in order to farm something that's a little higher APR or APY. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just to get out, can we get into the nitty gritty? Like, what are you farming right now?
So probably right now it's more so on the airdrops. So I think if we look at the chains, individual chains, I'm farming ZK Sync, Scroll, Linear, Mode. I think those are like some of the big chains that I'm kind of actively farming. And then when I think about the protocols itself, it's some of the perpetual protocols, Hyperliquid, IntentX, Perennial. Those are just a few. There's Rage Trade as well. And then there's like a bunch of other protocols. I've even branched over to Solana over the last maybe 6 months. I've been playing around with Camino, MarginFi, Drift, Zeta, Parcel. There's honestly a whole ton of apps there. And when I'm using some of these apps, I do like to use like delta neutral strategies. So like I'm not too overly exposed, but I will like farm all of them at the same time generally. So I have a lot of different things going on there. I mean, it's not a large amount of capital. It is probably only a small portion, but at least I get some exposure there.
Yeah, I've got a small bag as well over in Solana, and really enjoying the experience. I was kind of anti-Solana in the last cycle, just with all the FUD around it. The network going down on occasion. Now it did go down just a couple weeks ago for about 5 hours, but I don't think people were phased as much. And I think the airdrop farming has really gotten me over there more than anything else. I know yields are pretty high, like on Orca and stuff like that, if you want to farm those protocols. But yeah, the airdrop farming has really gotten me into Solana, just trying out new wallets, the Phantom wallet. And then I'm definitely in a lot of those similar protocols, Parcel and Camino in particular. So on the ETH side and L2s, I'm as well just farming a lot of airdrops, mostly chains. But as far as perp dexes go, I was surprised to hear that Avo wasn't on your list as a big options guy. And did you use Ribbon Finance previous to Avo's opening, or I know you were into options a lot in the last cycle.
No, I am into options. For me, I'm not so interested in like Ribbon's previous like structured vaults. They generally had quite poor performance, and I think that's probably why they sunsetted them. I think Avo otherwise is a fantastic place to both trade perps and options at the moment. I haven't been using it. I don't know why. I think I probably just faded it, to be honest with you, and I probably thought I was a little bit late. I didn't anticipate Avo actually getting a decent-ish airdrop either. I thought perhaps Ribbon would just do like a one-to-one conversion, and there wouldn't be any new tokens coming. So that kind of surprised me a little bit. So that's probably one reason why. Otherwise, I think I probably would have.
Yeah, so delta neutral strategies, how are you doing that? And can you dive into like a typical strategy that are using perpetual dexes in order to be delta neutral?
So I think there's two main strategies that I use. The first one is to basically pick two perpetual exchanges. For example, let's say Hyperliquid and IntentX. I try and pick two that are tokenless because that means I've got double the exposure. And it's very, very simple. On one, I'll go long. On the other, I'll go short. I use very, very low leverage, so I don't have to worry about it too much. And sometimes I have to pay a little bit of a funding fee. Sometimes you actually collect funding rates because both of them are positive in your favor. So that's a pretty simple one and works well. You can farm funding rates and you can get points or airdrop criteria or whatever. So that's one of them. The second one I also really, really like as well, and it involves having a spot position, which you can often stake. And we know that staking for airdrops is a really popular thing, whether it's staking Celestia, staking these layer 1 tokens, staking Atom, staking Dimension. Like there's lots of these tokens where you can stake for airdrops. So what I would do is I'd do that and I'd just short on one of these perpetual exchanges.
So I love that strategy. It's super simple, both the going long on one perpetual and going short on the other. And I agree, there's opportunities out there to kind of farm those funding rates along with airdrops in those perpetuals right now, which is pretty phenomenal. It's fun to try to find those little hidden gems, if you will, to farm those opportunities. And then I really like your strategy, buying spot, staking something like maybe it's Pith right now, which is a big one for airdrops on Solana. And then going along, Avo's got a lot of those, and that's why I've been using it in particular for not only to grab airdrop points, but to hedge my positions as well. Now, something I've been playing with lately too, as far as hedging goes, is actually if I find a farm that I really like in, say something like Ramses is something that I've been farming quite a bit. I think because of the ARB STIP or short-term incentive program, they've been getting away with a lot of ARB tokens in their pools. And then if you boost it with the Ennead boost, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but you're getting exposure to their NFT for their 3.3 DEX, the Ramses 3.3 DEX, and you're getting that boost APR with them. Now, I've been shorting ARB by borrowing it. So I'll actually go and borrow ARB against my ETH or something like that, and then farm that so I'm not exposed to the price going down or up, depending on which way I think it's heading. So that's been fun, especially
APR that you're making there.
Yeah, plus the APR, absolutely. Which is
how much is it?
Oh, how much is it right now? It's been crazy, actually. I think let me check where we're at right now. Yeah, current APR on that. This is a ARB versus USDC, and I'm making 467%, and that's APR, not
Oh,
APY.
damn nice.
Yeah,
Damn nice.
it's pretty incredible. I've been farming this for the last 2 weeks. Shout out to my boy at Eniad for calling this out. One of the mods, actually a team member now on the Ramsey's team. He goes by Justice if you follow any of their discords, but he's a really good guy and clued me into this. Said, "Hey, this is way under farms." So, how important is it to be in the know? Is CT a big place for research for you? Do you get a lot of your alpha from Telegram, from Discord? Where are your favorite places to find alpha?
I think I love Twitter. So I think once you've got a narrowed following and once you've got your lists all sorted, you can find out all of this stuff very, very quickly and easily. Otherwise, I think I have some really good Telegram groups that like I'm a part of that are really nice. I think one thing that going in this bull market, solo mode is really, really tough. So having a group of friends that you kind of going through everything together with is really, really nice, and I'm lucky to have that. And I think that's like a really good place for us all to help each other when we find opportunities. So I think those are probably the two main ways where I find stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've found that similar. Scouring Twitter, but I like what you said, man. Getting your lists put together and making sure that you're organized, because Twitter can just be so noisy.
Yeah.
And really any of the, I mean, Telegram's hard to navigate in my opinion. Maybe I'm just a boomer, but it feels like it's so frantic and can be so noisy. But I have found some great communities in that space to be able to narrow things down. Did you get into friend tech at all? I know you did early on, but that was actually a place that I found a lot of alpha and a lot of community sharing of airdrop links and that sort of thing.
Oh, nice. I mean, yeah, I really enjoyed Friendtech. I still enjoy it actually. I still like replied to messages within my own group from time to time. I don't use it as much as I did beforehand, but I think if there's anything good, then for sure I'm interested.
Absolutely. Uh, any thoughts on FriendTech V2 coming up? Do you have any hope for it, or do you think it's pretty dead?
No, no, I don't think it's dead. I think people will come back to it. Like as soon as they start seeing that they're going to get airdrops and they're going to get, all this talk on crypto Twitter about how much these friend tech points are selling for on Wales market. Like there's clearly some hype around it, and I think maybe when it launches, perhaps I think they're fixing the bonding curve, right?
Yep,
After that, then maybe people enjoy it again. I mean, I personally will use stuff if it brings me value. So I
absolutely.
think if that's the case with Friendtech, I'll keep using it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's talk about our portfolio thesis. So, how are you allocated right now? You said you're fully in, fully
Yeah.
risk on, which is, I think everybody should be really in this market. I think we're obviously climbing out of the bear quicker than anybody thought, and at least from my perspective. But then, so yeah, tell me about where you're at right now. Besides fully risk on, what are you allocating? How are you allocating it? And just give me an overview.
So I think if you asked me this question about a year ago, I would have given you a completely different answer. And I know if you ask me this question in 6 months' time, I'm going to give you a completely different answer. I guess like one of the things that I've come to realize over the last year or so really is that attention matters so much more than anything else, and we often trade attention. That's just the way that crypto is at the moment. And so when I look at like how my portfolio is at the moment, it's kind of very attention heavy. Now, of course, attention changes all the time, and you get different narratives that pop up all the time, and it's really, really hard to keep up with every single narrative. Often, what can happen is you can overtrade, and you end up like chasing whatever the latest thing was. And that will often get you completely wrecked. So I don't do that, but I do like to think about like what are the long form narratives that I think will play out through the entire cycle, not just like a 2 week craze here or a 6 week craze here. What is going to last for the entire cycle? So for me, like those are a two specific categories. I'm sure many of you know them already. Things like artificial intelligence, DePin, decentralized physical infrastructure, things related to eigenlayer and restaking, things related to modularity. There's probably a couple others there, maybe alternative layer ones as well. I think that's always going to be a narrative, whilst ETH gas fees are extremely high. So I think I allocate my portfolio against those five things, and that's generally been working out well for me. I don't actually have that much ETH as my overall portfolio. I have about 15 or 20%, and 80% is in across those five categories. I try. So last cycle, I would have said that trying to concentrate your bets as low as and have as little altcoins as possible is a good idea. This year, I still agree with that, but I think because there are so many new industries and there's so many new sectors, I think you can advance that and grow that up a little bit more. So I think I have about 13 or 14 coins in my portfolio. I mean, I probably could push that to 15, just because that gives me basically like 2 coins in every single sector that I'm interested in. But that might have been way too much last cycle. I think having 20 plus is probably still way too much. I think one thing that I like to do is be an active community member in all of the coins that I hold. And that gives you a lot of confidence when it comes to knowing exactly what's going on, knowing what's going on with the products, the updates, using the products as well, the competitors, because things change in crypto so quickly. So that's mainly my thesis around it. And I'm sure in 6 months' time, there may be a completely new sector that really pops up and really takes over what the crypto scene, you could say. I mean, restaking wasn't even a thing a year ago, so how could I include that in my portfolio, right?
100%.
So I think those are like the main narratives or the main things that I think are going to continue throughout the entire cycle. Don't get me wrong, I still have DeFi exposure as well, but I think when it comes to investment thesis, I think the other categories will probably outperform. Of course, you will get some altcoins that completely blow you out of the water, like Pendle, for example, which has been a fantastic asset to invest in at any time over the last 18 months. You probably would be up massively. So there are obviously some altcoins that do really outperform in other sectors as well. But I think generally, like those are probably like the main 5 that I like to allocate to.
That's awesome. Do you want to go into any specific picks that you've got? Like anything you're really excited, especially in DePin and AI?
Yeah, of course. So, sure. So, like when it comes to DePin, there's basically like 2 main categories, right? You've got the physical DePin stuff, where you kind of have to buy these nodes, or you have to buy these mini computers or hardware that you use. I don't know, maybe a Helium device or maybe a Hive Mapper device. You put it in your car. You've got that side of things, and then you've got the software kind of things, the things like compute and storage, machine learning. Now, my honest opinion is I don't really like the hardware stuff, and I'm not really interested in that whatsoever. I think retail might really like that sort of stuff, where you can basically buy something physical and you can earn these tokens from it. But we saw that last cycle as well, where things did get really, really hot, but they kind of died out. And I think those tokens weren't really the best investments. I'm more a fan of like the compute and storage and machine learning. So I think those are like the 3 sectors of DePin that I like to allocate to. So I basically will pick a winner from the storage section, a winner from the machine learning section, and a winner from the compute section. Now, it's really hard to like pick coins within these categories as well, because there's so much competition. Like if you look at the compute side of things, there's Render, there's Ionet coming out, there's Akash, there's like literally 10, 15 other compute coins as well. How do you know which one to buy? It's really, really tough. But I think generally all of them will perform well, and all of them have been performing well. So I think it's really hard for me to say, oh yeah, you should buy Render over Akash, or you should wait for Ionet to come out and then buy that. It's really, really tough. So I don't know the answer to that question, but I think generally if you've got exposure, you should be okay. And then the other ones are the machine learning side of things, which kind of comes into AI a lot. That's probably one of my favorites, and there's really, really interesting stuff coming out there. I'm more interested in the tokens coming out in that sector rather than the ones that are out
Mm.
right now. So a few examples would be things like Ritual, Jensen, Grass as well, the extension that everyone's been talking about. All comes under the AI machine learning stuff, which I'm like a big fan of. And then the last one is storage, right? So with storage, you've got Filecoin, Arweave. There's a couple others as well. I don't have too much exposure to the storage side of things, but I think those are like the three main categories of DePin that I'm most bullish on. Definitely not the physical hardware stuff, but definitely this the software side of things. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on it too.
Yeah, so I've dabbled in this side a little bit. I'm excited about grass in particular. I'm interested in what I can farm as well in that space. I've done some of the physical side with. Now this one's a little bit last cycle, so it's hard to say if it's still in vogue at all. But I got into Chia, which is the BitTorrent guys who created that, and I did a lot of it's hard drive, so it's proof of storage is the model, and I know they're at least hanging on from last cycle, and I think because of their name in the space, BitTorrent in particular, and
Yeah.
a lot of people know. Of that and how to, how that relates to longevity. But, I haven't gotten into too much otherwise. I have some friends that are into helium and it's a lot of old cycle stuff. So I haven't been paying
Yeah.
attention quite as much. My personal thesis is really holding as much of ETH as possible and then farming with that. So I have, I hold about 80% ETH as far as tokens go in my portfolio. But then early in the cycle, I started just borrowing a little bit against each one of them in stables and just shorting the dollar to be able to invest in other tokens. So the majority still of my portfolio is still in ETH. But then I've gotten into some tokens. A lot of them were air farming tokens and modularity tokens. So I've got some Celestia for sure, and Pith was a big one that I've invested into. And then the Dime airdrop got me interested in Dimension and what they're doing. I'm really excited about Eigenlayer and all the alternate DAs that are going to be available. I think DA is a big factor in modularity. And so, again, I really haven't delved so much into new cycle DePin in AI. AI is really the cycle. It didn't really happen at all last cycle. I find this market feels akin to more of a stock market where we're seeing some actual innovations in the space that we can actually invest in sectors. Last cycle, it seems like everybody was into either which L1. You're either Bitcoin, you're ETH, you're maybe Solana, maybe you're Doge. All these different L1 tokens. AVAX was big. Phantom, obviously, a lot of the EVM compatible stuff. BNB. This cycle, it seems like you can pick and choose. There's a lot more sectors to get involved with, and that's what I love about this space. I can have somebody like you who has a similar or has had at least a similar farming yields, and especially during the bear market, and now getting into new sectors. You're way more into DePin and AI than I am, and I love it because we can all learn from each other, right?
Yeah, definitely. Now, I mean, the AI thesis for me basically came around after seeing like Nvidia perform really well, seeing the compute issues, sorry, with the lack of compute resources that AI requires, seeing the rise of ChatGPT, also releasing Sora as well recently. I think all of those kind of contributing together. I think now we finally have so last cycle I actually invested in AI, but it didn't work out very well for me. And so I always had it in the back of my mind that crypto and AI would work in some way, shape, or form. So the last cycle, I ended up being minus 90% down on my AI coins. It didn't work out. But this cycle, I think clearly there's so much more interested in AI. I think over the last 2 years, it's really just risen massively. And so I think, personally, I think that's going to be one of the sectors that will continue to do well throughout the entire cycle, especially now because there's real use cases that people can actually benefit from.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of brings me into what I'd like to talk about next is how are we seeing real use of DeFi and Web3 and cryptography in general? Like, what do you see this cycle looking like? Because some people say it's going to look like last cycle and every cycle before, 2 years on, 2 years off. Do you think we may see a super cycle or something sort of hybrid where this infrastructure actually gets used in the real world a little bit more? Maybe something like Parcel, maybe something like the AI sector and the DePin side really making its way into mainstream. Do you see that happening soon, or do you think we'll see another 2-year cycle with just more adoption, and then further down the road see 5-10 years away see more infrastructure, real world infrastructure?
I mean, I wish I knew the answer. I'd be so rich if I knew the answer.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I'm not going to kid myself. I don't think we're there yet. So I don't think I don't think we're going to see like some crazy super cycle where everyone is finally using these products. We've still got a lot of work to do. I think one thing that I find funny is that when prices go up, the fundamentals also seem to go up as well. So yeah, I don't think that we're anywhere near there just yet. There's so many issues. Like even getting people onboarded into crypto is still difficult. We need to abstract away all of this stuff still before it really gets to that mainstream adoption, which I think is many years away still. But it's good to see that we are seeing lots of progress around that. Month over month, things are getting better. So yeah, I do think that eventually, like, we'll kind of have a cycle similar to every other cycle where things go down again. I don't know when that's going to be. A lot of people are saying now that we're potentially going to see a left-sided cycle where things kind of top out a lot quicker. I don't know which camp I'm in just yet. I'm open to all possibilities, really. And I think that's kind of being open helps me be reflexive, like in terms of like if something were to change, I can change my thesis very quickly that way. So yeah, I'm open to all possibilities at the moment. But one thing for sure, I don't think we're seeing some crazy super cycle where we don't see another bear market again. I think another bear market will come. It's just a case of when, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah, I'm.
What do you think?
Well, I'm in that camp too, where I think it's too early to say. I think the ETFs have, or the ETF, I should say, the Bitcoin ETF has really blown the lid off of Bitcoin's price, and we've seen so much inflows into the ETFs. Some might be a little bit freaked out by that, as the BlackRocks of the world are starting to have more control over the space. I don't think we've really seen that yet besides the price. And I do have some concern for what they may bring to Web3. But for now, they're mostly in Bitcoin. Yet to see what an ETF for ETH looks like. I think, I don't know if you're still in this camp, but I believe May is probably most likely, if not, latest August for an ETH ETF. Now I could be dreaming. I'm a little bit biased, as you obviously know, with how much ETH I hold, but I do, I just don't think they can deny ETH after they've accepted Bitcoin, as far as the SEC goes and all that stuff. And I know there's some ETH, spot ETFs. I believe there's one in Australia. I don't know too many more, but that adoption could really drive DeFi. The DeFi space, because, there's not a lot of that in the Bitcoin world. Bitcoin maxis in particular are kind of anti anything else on their chain. And I like them to keep it that way. Although I know, if you're familiar with like Drake on Digital, he's a big ordinals guy. And I know there's some opportunity in that space for gains, but I don't see the use case. I think a lot of it is, just kind of cultural, whether it be meme coins or NFTs, these sorts of things. I'm really more fascinated with the actual use case. Now, I do like the culture as well, though. So greeting someone at GM, I'm all about, bringing those sort of, cultural aspects out of the space and just enjoying the process with that. But as far as the adoption goes, I'm really more interested in actual uses and use cases. And I think real world assets could be a big one. Obviously, DePin and AI. I think this space really makes sense for adoption in those areas with just the way cryptography works and the way blockchain in particular can really be helpful, and decentralization as well, especially in AI. I think decentralization will be, oh gosh, I can't even I don't want to even think about what a centralized AI, what we're looking at with Google right now and their image program that was so controversial, and then what Elon says over at at Tesla and X and all his AI stuff that he's doing. And I lean more on the Elon Musk side of things. I think he's a great advocate for the space. I love what he's done with X and Twitter, made it more open. I think a little less. I don't know. I love the free speech side of things, but that's the American in me, right? So
no. I like Twitter as well. It's a good.
That's awesome.
It's a good place.
That's good. That's good. How do you think we're going to adopt more people into this space? Is it going to be through content creators like ourselves, or is it going to be through price appreciation? Or what I think, honestly, I'm going to lead you a little bit here, is through the actual physical use, and abstraction is a big part of it, as you said already. But actual physical, what's going to make my mom want to get on Web3 is going to really, I think, drive adoption. And I don't know what that is yet.
I think it'll be a mixture of all of the above. I think you got first of all, you got to improve the technology. Like, no one's going to be using Ethernet when gas fees are like $100. Maybe that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of retail adoption on Solana right now, where gas fees are a fraction of a cent. But ultimately, even the whole idea of having to manage your own wallet and managing a key, 99% of the world, or maybe 90% of the world, is not interested in that whatsoever. So you're going to need to basically get rid of all of that stuff. It should be completely abstracted away. You shouldn't even know that you're using a Web3 app. You shouldn't even know what chain you're using. It should be like a complete Web2 experience. I think that's the only way where we're really going to see billions of people use crypto. I think also the second thing on that point is really the advancement of all those other sectors, because ultimately billions of people are not interested in DeFi. They're not interested in yields. They're not interested in that sort of stuff. But billions of people will be interested in social media apps. Billions of people will be interested in like all of these other consumer-facing apps. So I think when we see more of them come into crypto, that really makes sense. And we're seeing that already. Farcaster, Lens Protocol, Friendtech. These are just like the very beginnings of what I think eventually we'll see. Hopefully, millions and billions of people coming into crypto. Ultimately, I think everything needs to be mobile as well. I think people aren't going to be doing this stuff on the desktop. So that's another thing. So yeah, like a combination of all of the above. And I think when price goes up, people kind of explore crypto, and I think it's down to people like you and I to kind of help educate and get that message to people about how to use this stuff, how to be secure. I think there's still far too many exploits. There's still far too many people losing their money, clicking phishing links, things like that. We can't have billions of people using this when people are like so scared to like click on any link. When you go on crypto Twitter and you see like all those different airdrop scam links, and you just click on one of them and you get your wallet drained. Like, come on, like, we're so far away from getting billions of people on board when we've still got this. So I think we need to improve on all of those things before we get anywhere near that. But I think the main thing is building really good apps, like you mentioned, like consumer-facing apps that people really enjoy using, that give value to people, that aren't necessarily financial, because I think most people aren't really interested in financial stuff. That will be it for me, I think. So we're probably a while away, but it's good to see that we're improving. Like every single month, there's something new coming out for people to use, and I think that's great. And I think it shows that we're on the right trajectory as well. We will get there.
Absolutely. I think it was great to see ETH Denver last week and see the thousands of people that were there, and the vast amount of age groups. It was really surprised me. Yes, the mean age was probably 20 something. However, I did see a good amount of people at the main stage in, much older than me, 20, 30 years older than myself. And I was really, really hopeful as, they're probably, in the investment class, so they're probably in it for the financial gains, or maybe they put in some of their retirement income into those vehicles. Maybe it's just ETH, maybe it's if we read ETH Denver, I'm sure it was primarily ETH, or maybe they're getting into DePin and AI investments. But it was really encouraging to see much older people at this at ETH Denver in particular, just to feel hopeful about this. Most people on crypto Twitter, at least from my understanding, are my age or younger. I know there are some outliers, especially those who have been in the space since 2017 or even earlier. If you're Bitcoin, maybe 2013, right? But yeah, it was really encouraging to see how many people were there and how diverse the crowd was. And it wasn't, diversity was huge. It was incredible. People from all over the world, multiple languages, all coming to the middle of the U.S. to, in the mountains to check this out. And one criticism though I have of ETH Denver is everything, the abstraction side was quite the opposite. Everybody, every single piece of signage had, some acronym on it or some industry jargon that made it even hard for me as someone who lives in this space to understand how to differentiate these different, protocols or infrastructure, technology. It was a lot of technology. It was, all the major L2s were there, Linea, ZK Sync. ZK Sync had a phenomenal presence. In fact, I was really bummed not getting any of their swag, to be honest with you. They had a very long line every single day for these amazing sweatpants.
Really?
Yeah, sweatpants, sweatshirts, hoodies, all of it black, of course, right? Because that's our primary color here in crypto. But lots of infrastructure, lots of payment apps, even a couple lawyers were there, or law firms were.
Really?
Yeah, it was interesting. So lots of bridges. The bridge narrative right now with all the airdrops, Wormhole, obviously, Layer 0 was there, and over 500 side events. So that was surprising to me as well. How many non-sanctioned side events were available to, so I was primarily at the main stage trying to soak up as much as possible of what the people that put that event together, what they wanted us to hear. And also didn't bring a car, so I didn't want to Uber everywhere to all these side events. But next year I'm bringing a car because, man, it was Barachain had a huge, from what I understand, a huge showing of hundreds of people to their side events. I know the Layer 0 events was huge as well. Arbitrum did a 3-day DAO event, which was very well attended from what I understand. And all of these within just a full week in Denver. It was incredible to see.
I missed out. I need to come to the next one.
We'd love to have you, man. We'd let me know if you're interested. I'll rent us a Airbnb. But in fact,
sounds good.
Good. I don't know if you're familiar with James Pelton at all. He's a YouTuber as well, but he and I got to stay together. He was a pretty awesome guy in the space. He's more of a passive income guy. His channel's all about passive and though crypto's a part of it, it's not the majority of it. So, but yeah. Anyway, anything else that you're super excited about? We're just about to hit an hour here, so I want to make sure to respect your time. But is there anything that we haven't covered that you're interested in chatting about?
I guess I just remembered when I was talking about the different categories of crypto where I think there's good investment potential. I completely forgot to mention about the Bitcoin ecosystem, and I think this might surprise some people because I, like yourself, I'm probably someone who enjoys transacting on ETH and ETH-aligned EVM chains. I think that's probably where most of the activity happens. But I do think ordinals are really, really interesting. And I do like to dabble in things like NFTs. And I think making NFTs on the Bitcoin network being the most secure network, where you don't have the actual images like on IPFS, which isn't actually on the blockchain like you have on ETH mainnet. You actually have them stored within these satoshis. I think that's a really interesting sector. So that's probably another place where I'm allocating towards. And I think we're seeing like lots of Bitcoin L2s and all this other stuff. I think a lot of it at the moment is pretty rubbish, but there's probably going to be something of worth coming out of that in due time.
I agree that there's probably some good upside there, especially in this market. Last question for you: like, what is your personal outlook? Are you more aligned with portfolio go up, or are you more aligned with bringing more people into the space, or is it hard to really differentiate those two things?
No, definitely both. Definitely both. I think, like obviously everyone seems to be here to make some money. Everyone's here to increase their portfolios and to become financially free. I think that's a goal for everyone, and that's what crypto can allow you to do. But also, I think, like I'm someone who loves educating. It's something that I've always done. I used to teach when I was in medical school. After becoming a doctor, I teach medical students. I think via our pages and channels we teach both through written, video, whatever. I think that's something that I really enjoy, and maybe you can tell from the passion that I bring from the stuff that I do, but like that's one thing that really matters to me. And I think when I see more people getting on board into crypto and kind of making those games for themselves, that gives me some good satisfaction too. So I think for me it's definitely a bit of both. I love the technology behind crypto. I mean, we all use crypto pretty much every single day. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon either. So I think for me, it's both.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think you can be in this space and ignore either side of this. I mean, there are certainly some that are only trading and only there for the gains. But I like to interact with those who are in the education space, who are in the content creation space, just because I think it sharpens us to work with each other and to encourage each other. Can you get into a little bit into how if you were just going to get started today, how would you look at starting your channel, starting your content creation? What are the opportunities that you see for those that are up and coming? I think there's plenty of room for more people like us who are creating channels, creating brands, with our content. What would you say to somebody who's just getting started, who might want to get into YouTube or content creation on Twitter?
I think at the start it's just a case of just crack on and do it. Don't try and like make things too perfect. Just turn your camera on, record something on your screen. It can be anything. I think whether it's tutorials or whether it's just your personal experiences of things that you like doing in crypto, just make content about it. Whether it's written, you can do it short form on Twitter, you could do it long form on Substack, you could make videos about it. You could even, honestly, you could even go to TikTok or go to Instagram and post there as well. Like it doesn't matter where you post, but I think just do it. I think documenting like some of the stuff that you're doing is really, really good. And I think the most important thing is being consistent. Like, I think I've made 240 plus videos now, and I think I only missed 1 week, like where I didn't post. I think consistency is like the best way to grow. And even then, like I haven't grown substantially. I'm still in the growing process. I'm still a very, very small channel. But I think like being consistent, and when you keep making videos or when you keep making content, naturally you get better at it anyway. So this might go against what some people say, but I believe at the start it should all be about quantity over quality, and quality will come naturally after. And once you get to a certain point, you refine it so that you focus on quality more. But I think generally, if you're interested in crypto, document your journey, make videos or content about the stuff that you like to do, and you'll find that people will find it beneficial. Because I think at the moment, like if you look at all of the people in crypto right now, 99% of them have never even been on chain. They haven't tried any of this stuff out. So I would say even today, even though we're like 4 years into when DeFi first started or when on-chain activities first started properly, um, it's still early. Like a lot of people don't know how to use these stuff. A lot of people don't know how to bridge. A lot of people don't know how to buy an NFT. A lot of people don't know how to do a swap on a decentralized exchange. So I think if we really want to get more and more people on board, we need more people to advocate for all of this stuff. So yeah, my advice is just do it.
Yeah, just do it. That's my advice too. Just slap up a camera and do your best and improve through the process. Ask your peers, how does it sound? How's it look? And maybe you can get some sort of, content, maybe a gig here and there to help upgrade your equipment throughout the process. And honestly, you don't even need this stuff. Twitter is, you've blown up on Twitter. I've been really impressed. And you obviously don't need a camera to make content on Twitter.
No, you just have to write. And I never used to be a good writer or anything either. I don't think I am a good writer, but it's just something that you just pick up on and you improve and you improve and you improve. The more you write, the better you get. And I think I just like sharing my stories and my adventures within the space. That's pretty much what I do, and it seems like people like that.
Yeah, it comes across as extremely personable. There's a handful in the space that have just that sharing in mind, and I appreciate that you're definitely one of them. That you're happy to just share whatever you find. You're not not too worried about getting diluted or these sorts of things. Where others hold their cards pretty close to their chests. I think you put yourself out there, and I think that's why you've been so successful and will continue to be successful. I think Wad, you're doing a great job, and I'm just proud to see your journey. I think when we met we probably had a similar view count and a similar likes on our or follows on our Twitter, but you have far exceeded what I've been able to do. So I look up to you, and I try to do my best just to be as transparent and just share as much as possible in your footsteps, if you will. So thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. That's
absolutely.
So kind of you.
Absolutely, Waj. I think you're a fantastic addition to this space. Thank you so much for all you do. Thanks for continuing to grind out. The bear was tough, and you grew through it. And the only way to do that was to just grind it out and to keep sharing and to keep growing. So, Waj, thank you so much for coming to the channel today. I know that my viewers will definitely get some not only alpha out of this, but some encouragement as if anybody wants to start a channel. Before we go, please give me let my channel know how people can follow you. I'll put links in the description below, obviously, to all of your contacts. But where are your major where are the places that we can read your content and view your content?
So you can find me pretty much anywhere if you just type in 0xMughal. Otherwise, if you just go on YouTube and type in my name, 0xMughal, you'll find me right there, and all of my content will be there. Otherwise, 0xMughal, you'll search for me there on pretty much anything. You'll find me there.
Awesome. And anybody else who's watching, follow me on Twitter at AllThingsEVM, as well as on YouTube here. Obviously, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless.